Okay, so we're Team Delta, and our project was called MultiChat. MultiChat is a system that would be added on top of an existing multiplayer game. In general, players in a multiplayer game need to communicate, but at the same time, young players need protecting. As well as that, there are other uses. Fast-paced games need fast-paced conversation, and people making these games need the general way to control messages between players. Although these two different requirements have one solution, which is token-based chat. You can see you can have valid messages like I ate it, or an invalid message, I apple it. The question was, how do we differentiate between these? So our sensitive use case, children need protecting on the internet, whether that's from giving out information they shouldn't be giving out, their home address, phone numbers, or just talking to people who they really shouldn't be talking to. Kids who are playing internet games, but they still need to be able to talk to each other to play the game successfully. So we have a solution. We wanted to provide a restricted chat. So in general, games like this have used in the past phrase chats, as in you have a list of phrases like, good game, you play well, and you can just select them and send it to the other player. But we found that was quite restrictive. If you want to have actual sort of chat that makes sense, people can say things they really want to say, then you needed more power than that. And phrase chats didn't offer that. If you had phrase chat of that number of phrases, selecting the phrases just isn't an option. Another use case for this tokenized chat is fast-paced chat. At times, if you're playing a game such as an FPS, you don't really want to devote your time to typing a message. The second you go into a chat screen to start typing your message, someone comes around the corner, your message is going to be full of A's, AAA, as you try and turn to attack them. So we need a way to quickly pull together tokens that still make sense, but in this case, maybe less restrictive. At the end of the day, if you're playing a game with adults, then you don't really want to limit the nature of what they can say. Many games, they have microphone support for this sort of thing, but it requires extra kit, and sometimes you just don't have the facility to talk if you're in a silent room trying to play Counter-Strike. So yeah, games like Counter-Strike have had phrases like storm the front. They're coded into the game for key presses. However, the player still needs to remember the sequence of buttons to do this, and it's not very general, it's very integrated into the game as it is. So our solution, as I said, we've got token-based chat. We provide the client who is implementing the multi-chat system will have their own tokens and their own grammar. We allow them to configure this so they can have exact whatever they want, and they can swap between these grammars at runtime. For example, they could have a grammar for the lobby that was quite less restrictive, allowing players to communicate tactics, etc. But for a game grammar, they may want just things such as areas on the map, so you say, okay, you go here, or this area needs protecting. And players could link these together with just a few key presses. Our grammars are specified using context-free grammars, and you can see an example of just how it's expressed here. The non-terminals in the grammar, such as compound or proper noun, represented by just a plain text file with a list of nouns that you can have. So you have very, very large amounts of flexibility there. Pretty much anything you can imagine, as long as it makes sense in English, you'll be able to represent with that grammar mode. So we created 3 things for this. First thing we did was created a tool to generate a censorship engine. Given the grammar in the form that you've just seen, given a directory like that, it will process that, parse the extended Backus-Nahr form that we gave it, turn that into an Ajax syntax tree, and then produce out of that some parse tables that will be used by the actual parser. Then 2 modules had to be created, one for the game server and one for the client. These modules each had a parser in it that used this, the parse tables generated by the tool, took in messages that the client typed, checked them against the tool, and then if they were accepted, sent it up to the server where it would be checked again, and if accepted again, stop malicious clients from just sending obviously incorrect messages, it would relay it out to the other clients. So things that we could have added, different representations for tokens, different languages. Well, these sort of things are things that the client implementing the chat system themselves could easily implement on top of our system, but you can link other data to these tokens, so you could have different languages, different grammars for different languages, and it would all be accepted. Better prediction for upcoming tokens, you could record messages as they go through the system and possibly have some way of saying, okay, you've written these 2 tokens, chances are you're going to write this one next, and displaying that to the user. As well as that, we also could have had AV elements that could be linked to tokens, such as an audio representation of a token or some visual cue, and they could easily be bundled with tokens. And that's it.